As you may or may not know, my wife and I just got back from Vegas. It was a great trip. We ate, we drank, we had a blast. But then we got home and looked at the credit card, and I gotta say, it doesn't matter how much fun you're having, $25 for a drink is a ripoff. Frickin' Vegas. I hate getting ripped off, and so do the lads over at Harry's. They spent years watching the razor blade companies rip people off and said, no more. Not all heroes wear capes, my friends, and they want to prove that they're legit by offering you hot dogs a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. I've been telling you about them for months, and I'm genuinely proud to have Harry's as a sponsor of this show. I wasn't kidding. The plastic, futuristic-looking crap razors you get at the store are overpriced and they're poor quality. Harry's blades are crisp, clean, and classy. They're the kind of razor you'd expect your grandpa to have on his bathroom counter. And most importantly, they work. Shave after shave, they're so smooth, they're precise. I used to go through the crappy store blades all the time, but Harry's are built to last. And they're not just better quality than the other names, they're more affordable. And they deliver. Just set your schedule, and for as little as $2, new blades, shaving creams, lotions, everything you need, right to your door when you need it. I genuinely cannot think of a reason not to try Harry's. And I'm not just saying this because they're sponsors. They're the best shaving supplies I've ever used. Try them out, and if you're not happy, your shave's on them. And unlike the other subscriptions, they're really easy to cancel if you want to too, which is a nice bonus, but believe me, you're not going to want to cancel. Getting ripped off isn't funny. Switch to Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. That's harrys.com/RTG for a $3 trial set. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and we geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blake. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And this week it is episode 204, and we're talking about an NES game that I don't know. I mean, I guess it's kind of considered a hidden gem, maybe a bit of a cult classic. It's not the best game in the NES library by a long shot, but it's creative. It's colorful, it's fun, it's fucking impossible, but you can't hold that against NES games or you'd hate like 90% of that system's library. It's Snake, Rattle, and Roll. As a kid, I played the shit out of this game, and I know not everybody listening to this knows what this game is, but I'm telling you, like, if you've never played it, it's on Rare Replay, so it's available on Xbox consoles. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you to emulate stuff, but it's not like it's available anywhere else. Maybe. If you like tough, weird platformers, it's kind of fun. It's charming. In ways, it's like playing a little Saturday morning cartoon. It is notoriously difficult. I've never beaten it. Frankly, I've never come close to fucking beating it. But my guest this week apparently, allegedly has. Maybe he's lying for the sake of the podcast, but I don't think that's his style, and I know him pretty well, because making his Remember the Game debut after 204 episodes, and due to all of your demand, because outside of my girlfriend, this is the person that I get the most requests to have on the show. It is my younger brother, my sibling, the Luigi to my Mario. My brother Josh is going to make his podcast debut, and this was a perfect game for him to come on the show and talk about, because we grew up playing Snake, Rattle, and Roll together all the time. He still owns it. Apparently, he still plays it and can still... He says he's good at it. We'll see. You'll hear for yourself. I believe him. I think I believe him, because there's no other way to fucking... No one's ever gotten to the end of this game. I don't know how the fuck else anyone would know what the last half of this fucking game looks like, but he says he's got there, and it was really fun catching up with him. He's someone that I've wanted to have on the show for quite a while. It was mostly just looking for the right project, the right game to finally introduce Yeah, the Luigi to my Mario, the Tails to my son. I don't want to call him Tails. I like him too much to call him Tails. I hate that fucking guy. But either way, he's finally here. We do have a quick talk about what it was like growing up gaming together and Angry Adam and all that kind of stuff. So I know some of you are fishing for the gossip and the behind-the-scenes family details. You're going to get a couple minutes of them before we get into Snake, Rattle, and Roll. And we'll get there we'll get to all of that. How did I fuck this up? I've done this intro 1,000 times. How did I screw this up? We'll get there in just a minute because... there you go. Because speaking of how I fuck shit up all the time, it's time for another edition of the Remember the Game infamous intro. God damn it. Usually my segues into the intro are silky smooth, and that one was... Oh, that one was like trying to jump in Snake, Rattle, and Roll. It's almost which we'll get into in just a bit. It's goddamn impossible. If you're new to the podcast, welcome aboard. Consider this your warning. Our intros are kind of long, but they're fun. We talk about video games and stuff like that. Our intro is like the first 2 levels of Snake, Rattle, and Roll, where it's fun before it just gets incredibly difficult and destroys you. So I recommend listening to the whole thing, but if you're only here for Snake, Rattle, and Roll talk, skip ahead about 30 minutes, and you'll hit the music, and then we'll be talking... Snake, Rattle, and Roll. I have to get my plugs in here. We have merchandise, hoodies, t-shirts, coffee mugs, posters, tank tops, all rocking incredible art drawn by my man Joe over at 4545creative.com. You can check out our merchandise at rememberthegame.podcast.com if you're interested. It's a great way to support the show. And this is your last chance. If you're hearing this before July 1st, our 20% off sale that ran the entire month of June to celebrate 200 episodes ends on June 30th. At the end of, I don't know what time on June 30th. So just don't fucking wait till June 30th. Just go today. If you're hearing this after June 30th, then there's still merch there. It's just, it's just not 20% off anymore. But anyway, yeah. So there's clothes and stuff over there. RememberTheGamePodcast.com. If you're interested, it's a great way to support the show. And, if you're like me and you're like, I don't care for clothes, then you can always just consider supporting us on Patreon. Because for just $2 a month, you're going to get 2 additional podcasts every single week. You get exclusive access to my gaming news podcast, Game Patch, every Friday, where I talk about all the biggest news in modern video games and sprinkle in my opinions and some profanity and stuff in there. And Expansion Pass goes live every Thursday, which is a different show every week. We do game rankings, we look back at characters and consoles, we do comedy episodes, there are game reviews. And speaking of game reviews, this past week on Expansion Pass, we talked about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. I have waited years for a new Ninja Turtles game. It was finally here. It was fucking awesome. And as is becoming tradition here during the intro, this is a sneak peek of last week's episode of Expansion Pass, my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge review. The graphics and sound and fan service are all great. We're going to get into all that, but the gameplay is what matters the most to me. As I've said countless times, I don't care how your game looks, make it fun and then worry about the rest. And I got to say, dude, this game plays fucking great. It's not as deep as Streets of Rage, but it is much deeper than the old school Turtles games. It's not just mashing A and B aimlessly the whole time. You could play it that way, especially on the easier difficulties, but they finally put a little bit of seasoning on the steak and gave you a couple of extra moves. That's always been my beef with the old Ninja Turtle beat 'em up games, the ones we all love. Turtles 2, the arcade game, Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project, Turtles 4, Turtles in Time. I've not played Hyperstone Heist on the Genesis, but I'm going to fix that when I get my hands on the Cowabunga collection. But I like those old beat 'em ups as much as the next person. When I was a kid, I played them like crazy, but nowadays it's they're great, but they're toenail deep. As far as gameplay wise, if you were standing in a pool of deepness, that water comes up to your toenails. It is basically mash A and B, walk from left to right, beat the game, and move on with your lives. This one throws a little bit more on the plate. So now that's available in our archives. And this week, for Expansion Pass number 117, our topic was voted on by our listeners, by the community. And the games I refuse to play ran away with the poll. This is something we've been talking about doing for quite a while. So I'm going to definitively address the handful of games that I'm never going to touch. And I'll explain why once and for all. And we can put the controversies to bed. And if you've been wondering if your favorite game is on that list, I will break it all down tomorrow for Expansion Pass number 117. So again, $2 gets you 2 additional podcasts every week, instant access to over 200 archived bonus podcasts, plus access to our Remember the Game Discord, the chance to vote in our Patreon poll at the beginning of every month, the ability to submit comments to be read on all of our podcasts, and you're going to get a shout out and get to hear me mispronounce your name like I'm about to do to most of these people. A huge thank you to all of our newest patrons. There's a couple in here I am going to fucking destroy, but let's give this a shot. James Pelka, Curtis, Dylan Jacobson, George William Lockwood Farnell. Dude, if that George, you need to add a Esquire or something to the end of that. That's a ballin' name. Brybeard, Trevor Roberts, Dougie Boy, My Left Nut, I like that handle, Peatsworth, Reno, Chugbaka, that fucks me up, Jim Johnston, Graham Lexton, Isaiah Whitlam, Jared Knauf, fuck me, King Daddy, Whale Oil Beef Hooked, Beef Dingleberry, Colin Burke, My Spoopy Skeletal, Michael Barjudana. I hope I said that right, Michael. I have no doubt I did. And Sofrito Bandito. Dude, that might be the single worst job I've ever done giving shout outs. And I always do a bad job giving shout outs. Those were tough. So thank you all so much. If I mispronounced your name, wear it as a badge of honor, and welcome to Remember the Game Industries, patreon.com/rememberthegame. And don't forget, 5% of our Patreon is being donated at the end of the year to our Remember the Children 24-hour charity stream for the Stollery Children's Hospital here in Edmonton. We're already well over $1,000, and we still have half a year to go. So thank you so much. A half a year to go. So thank you very much. Oh, and by the way, if you're hearing this on June 29th or June 30th, and you're like, I'd like to sign up for Patreon and get some of those extra episodes, wait until July 1st. Wait until Canada Day, because if you sign up on the 29th or the 30th, you're going to get charged the day you sign up, and then you're going to get charged again on July 1st. So just wait until Friday. So that I don't want to see you get double dipped on, all right? But there you go. And finally, you can find me over on Twitch if you're interested, twitch.tv/memberthegame. I try to get on there a couple days a week whenever I can. Sometimes I play video games, sometimes I build Lego, sometimes I just talk to whoever wants to come hang out with me and tell me that my face looks stupid and all that kind of. It's fun. So come on by twitch.tv/memberthegame if you're interested. All right. That's enough blowing myself. Let's blow in some cartridges. It is our opening segment here on the show. I read a few comments and questions from our Patreons, usually gaming related, but not always. And we call this segment Blowing in the Cartridge.
He blows all right. He blows big time.
That's it, honey. Get into the spirit.
Let's blow. Our first blower this week is Astro Alpaca, who wrote in and said, "Hey Adam, I hope you're enjoying the nice weather. Since the pandemic started, I've really gotten into creative writing. It originally started with writing adventures for my D&D group, but soon turned into writing short stories for fun. I joined a writing circle to gain feedback on how to improve from professional writers where I live as well. As a content creator and stand-up comedian, what routines or methods do you use to write comedy or produce your podcasts? Thanks again for the great content." Well, thanks. That was very nice, Astro. Thank you. You may not like this answer. I don't write very much at all. I know that that's kind of sacrilege to people in my profession, but for the podcast Game Patch, I just, it's my job. There's no real method. I have a template that I use, and I just write out the gaming news every week that I want to read. I read it, and then I react to it. But The Rambling Idiot, Remember the Game, and Expansion Pass, all my other podcasts, outside of writing footnotes or copying and pasting the comments of this one that I'm going to have to read verbatim on the show, I really just make footnotes and then kind of just let my voice take me from one point to the next. I'm the same way on stage. I used to write my jokes out verbatim. I used to sit down and write out every word of my joke and cross it out. And I know some comedians still do that, but personally I found that it's a much easier process. Maybe someone consider me lazy. I find it easier now to not write out every word. I just scribble down every idea I have and bullet points and stuff, and then I just kind of throw it all against the wall and see what sticks. You're not the first person that's asked me about my writing method, and everyone's got their own style, so I would never say do what I do or don't do what I do. Just figure, experiment with stuff until you find the thing that works for you. But as far as myself, yeah, I used to write out every word for the podcast and every word of my jokes. And I think, frankly, if you were to listen to, go back and listen to episode 20 of Remember the Game, and then listen to, this week's episode 204, that's 4 years of difference. And you can hear the difference in my voice from reading off a script and then just talking like I do now. And I certainly fuck up. I certainly fuck up a lot more words now and stumble over my words more and say a lot more stupid things than I used to when I wrote everything out. But I think it sounds much more organic and fluent as well. So sorry, maybe that's not more help to you, but I'm not a great writer. I'm just, lots of words come out of my mouth all the time. I guess that's the only way I can word it. I'm not a great writer though, but that's what I found works for me. So keep experimenting, and you'll eventually find your style. And then once you figure it out, don't worry about what anyone else is doing. Just go with whatever works for you, because everybody's different. All right. Thanks, Astro, for writing in. Dougie Boy wrote in and said, "I know there's a lot of RPG fans in this community, but so far out of all the RPG fans I've heard you talk about, I've never heard anyone talk about the Breath of Fire series, specifically Breath of Fire, and Breath of Fire 2 for the SNES. Breath of Fire 2 is one of my most favorite JRPGs to play on the SNES, period. I've never played any of the Breath of Fire games, Dougie boy, but they have come up. People have suggested them. I want to say, maybe I'm wrong, but I want to say the original Breath of Fire was on one of our Patreon polls. It just didn't get over the hump. But you're far from the only one that has brought those games up in this community for sure. A lot of people. I think at this point, now that Final Fantasy Tactics is done, I think probably Legend of Dragoon for the PlayStation is probably the game that I get the RPG that I hear about the most, but there's a ton of other ones that pop up, and Breath of Fire is definitely in there, no question. So I'm not going to sit here and promise I'll ever get to them, but I definitely, they're on my radar. They're in the backlog from hell. It's just that backlog is fucking turning into the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. It's got a life of its own. And speaking of RPGs, Jim Johnston wrote in and said, longtime listener and experienced in blowing things other than cartridges. I like that. As another guy who isn't that into JRPGs but would like to try one, what would you recommend? I have Xbox and Switch, but I'd prefer to get it on Xbox since I can save a lot of money with the rotating sales, which Nintendo doesn't really do. I'm a big Pokemon fan, and I also like the Dragon Warrior games as a kid that were on the Game Boy. Admittedly, Jim, I'm not the best person to answer this because my RPG knowledge is minimal at best, but I will say, yeah, if you're playing on Xbox, Octopath Traveler is a really good throwback RPG, and I hear Dragon Quest XI is fire, but I have not played it, but it gets good reviews all over the place. And don't hold me to this, but I think they're both on Game Pass if you're playing on Xbox. So those are the suggestions. And then if you want to talk Switch, apparently, as we just heard, Breath of Fire is really good, and I'm pretty sure they're on SNES Online if you've got an online membership. And I would definitely recommend Earthbound, which is also on SNES Online if you've got an online membership. And Octopath Traveler's on the Switch as well. That's where I played it and really enjoyed it. But if you're looking, you'll probably get it cheaper on Xbox than you'll get it on the Nintendo Switch. Sorry, I don't have more recommendations. RPGs are not my forte, but those are a few that I would stand behind, especially Earthbound. Earthbound fucking slaps. I love that goddamn game. Thanks for writing in, Jim. Ryan LPC wrote in and said, where do you get off making solid recommendation after solid recommendation? It wasn't enough for you to introduce me to Aria of Sorrow or Final Fantasy Tactics. You just had to go and suggest playing Tetris Effect Connected in the dark with headphones on while smoking the devil's lettuce. God damn, I think I transcended time and space. I couldn't tell if I was playing along with the beat or if the game was reading my mind. I don't know if you can put a price on that experience, but you've got my $2 for the foreseeable future. Motherfucking right. I love that. Anytime, you know what? Every single one of you that writes in and tells me that I got you hooked on Slay the Spire, or every one of you that write in and tell me fucking by all, even by my standards, I'm doing bad today. Every one of you that write in and say you're hooked on Slay the Spire because of me makes me happy. Every one of you that writes in and say you've discovered Tetris Effect Connected because of me makes me happy. And if you are a marijuana enjoyer, as I am and as Ryan LPC is, for the love of God, I'm telling you, try Tetris Effect Connected. That is my go-to game when I'm just fried out of my mind. I can just veg out and space out and just go on this journey for hours. And I agree with you, because the music does move with what you do, but it feels like you're moving with the music. It's fucking trip and a half, man. Even if you don't get high, just play Tetris Effect Connected, because that game fucking owns. I'm glad you're digging it, Ryan. Thanks, buddy. Mecha Robo Hamster wrote in and said, hey, Adam, I've always wondered, before playing video games was your job, what was your ideal time to hop on? For me, I've come to realize that late night is the best because it's all quiet and nothing is expected of me. But as I grow older, late nights seem less ideal. Anyways, keep up the good work. Yeah, I was always a late night player as well, Mecha. Normally, before I got into comedy and obviously the podcast and everything, my routine was I would go to work like everybody else, and then when I get home, I'd have dinner with my girlfriend and hang out with her. And then she's always had to get up early for work, so she's always gone to bed way earlier than me. So then she would crash, and usually by about 7:00, I'm watching either some kind of hockey game or baseball game, and then either when I get bored of that or when it's over, I would fire up vids and play vids till about 11:00. So I just like playing late at night. Same thing. I like the quiet. I like that, I don't have to worry about somebody suddenly showing up or me having to go anywhere or do anything. I can just throw on my sweatpants and grab a snack and just sit on my couch and space out in front of the TV. So I don't play as often at night now because comedy gets me out of the house most evenings, but that is my preferred time to play as well. Oh yeah, all day. Except on the weekend. Dude, on the weekend, I used to play Splatoon at like 8 a.m. because I would play online and just wreck all the fucking kids that were online playing. It'd be like watching like the grown man playing street hockey with the kids that could barely walk. I would just destroy So if you want to play something online that you know kids are playing, play Saturday morning because you'll rack up the fucking. You'll just look like a beast. Oh man, my ego, like it was such a nice and like I know it's like. Did any of you ever see the episode of Seinfeld where Kramer like was taking karate and he was like in karate class with all these little kids and he's just beating on them all? That's how I feel when I play video games Saturday morning. So fuck yeah. Other than that though, it's in the evening. Bad Fish wrote in and said, "Hey Adam, loving the show and the Patreon so far. The Game Boy episode of Expansion Pass had me cracking up. Anyway, sorry if this has been brought up before, but I'm new here, and I was wondering when can we consider the Wii retro? I'd love to hear some reviews on games from that era like Twilight Princess and Super Mario Bros. Wii. Cheers, dude. Keep up the dope content." Thanks, Bad Fish. I do consider the Wii retro, just for general rule of thumb. Obviously, it's a pretty subjective term, but anyway, I know we've got a lot of new listeners. If you're wondering what I consider retro for the podcast, by my standards, it's PS2, Xbox, GameCube, Dreamcast, and further back. But as I've learned, we have a lot of younger listeners that are in their 20s now, but they were playing the Wii, the Xbox 360, the PS3 when they were in elementary school and junior high. So to them, that is retro. I think retro is what you played as a kid. So like I played the Wii as like, you know, in my mid 20s, but I know that some of our listeners played it when they were, you know, babies, like young babies. So I do consider the Wii, the PS3, and the Xbox 360 generation retro now, and we do cover the odd game for those. The problem with the Wii, I think the only Wii game we've covered on this show at this point is Wii Sports. The problem with the Wii is that I fucking hated that thing. So I just don't know very many of the games. Eventually, just in case anyone's wondering, for Wii game, you're definitely going to get Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2 episodes at some point. Probably going to get a Super Mario Brothers Wii episode at some point. 50-50, you'll get a Twilight Princess episode because I don't fucking like that game very much, but I'll probably end up reviewing it. We did Wii Sports. I'm not going to lie to you. Off the top of my head, those might be the only Wii games that have a chance of getting covered on the... Oh, maybe Mario Kart, maybe. But eventually, yes, I promise you. The problem is that I don't really remember them that well because I didn't play a ton of Wii back then, and I don't have a way to play them for like a refresher now. So it's not that I'm not interested in covering them. It's just my knowledge of them is minimal at best. That's all. But we will definitely cover some Wii games moving forward, Bad Fish, I promise. And finally, before we move on from the segment, it's letter time. It's letter time. Andrew Wright wrote in and said, Adam, I have to ask for your thoughts on Mario Strikers and the Mario Sports IPs as a whole. I know how excited you were for this game, and we can all agree there's a market out there for fast-paced, arcade-style sports games. Yet here we are with another half-baked creation from the company that spent decades releasing complete and polished products on day one. DLC may help Mario Strikers as it did with Mario Golf and Mario Tennis, but is the Nintendo drip feed philosophy killing Mario Sports, or is it already dead? It's a good question, Andrew. The thing is, like, so I thought Mario Tennis on the Wii U was an abomination. Mario Tennis on the Switch was rad. The only reason I stopped playing Mario Tennis on the Switch was because I didn't want to play with Power Shots on, and I couldn't find anybody to play with. There just wasn't an online community. Mario Golf I thought was okay, and there is an online community, but I hated that they dumbed it down and took the third button press out. Like, it used to be the classic start the meter, stop the meter, stop the meter, and now it's just start, stop, and you're done. And that really just turned me off, and I got bored of it quickly. And I have been playing quite a bit of Mario Strikers, and it's fun. The gameplay is fun, but there's just, I think, my opinion, I think the problem with the Mario sports games now is most of us that grew up with them would agree that either the 64 or the GameCube, I'm a partial to the GameCube myself, or maybe the Wii was like the golden era of Mario sports games. But we didn't have online back then. They were all about couch co-op. And nowadays, nobody does like local multiplayer. Everybody plays online, and it's just not the same. And I think that's my problem with Mario Strikers. It's not that it's a bad game. It plays well. It is fun. I don't even care that the single player is so light in content because I bought it to play with my friends. But like, I never see my friends. I don't have my friends. I don't see my friends. I never have them over to play shit anymore. Like, we used to play Mario Strikers for hours, like 4 players just sitting on the couch. And now I'm playing it by myself against some stranger online for 5 minutes with no voice chat, and then it's done. I think that's what's missing, personally, is it's just, I don't know if those games work as well when you're not playing them in person. That's how I feel about them anyway. I do agree that like they are definitely lighter in the content now than they used to be. I feel like they think they can get away with putting less in it because they've got online. I don't think they're bad. I don't think any of the 3 games I just listed, Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, Mario Strikers for the Switch, I don't think any of them are bad games. There just wasn't enough meat on the bone on any of them to really get me hooked. And I most of my memories of playing those Mario sports games back in their glory days was multiplayer with my friends. And I just think that's maybe a bygone era. I think that's the problem with those games, just as much as the drip feed of fucking content, which is something too. But I think it's more just not being able to play them in person. That's my opinion, anyways. Fuck! I was so goddamn excited for Mario Strikers, and I hate that I don't love it. I just don't love it. It's okay. It's okay. If you're on the fence about it, I'm not going to review it. I would say if you're planning to play it online, sure, it might be worth picking up. Look up reviews, try the demo. But if you're only looking for offline content, don't waste your money because there's nothing there. It's nothing. There's nothing there. So there you go. All right. Thank you to everybody that wrote in as always. We got to move on. Let's change things up and get into our Smash Hit segment, the official game show of Remember the Game Industries. Play one, remake one, erase one. And a huge thank you to Classic Concentration from the NES for unknowingly providing us with the theme music for the show. The rules are simple. Every week I give our listeners 3 retro video games. They can play one as it was released, remake one as a modern game, and the third game is Erased from Time Forever. As always, there are no wrong answers, but there is a right one. We'll get there in just a minute. And we're talking an NES title from Rare this week with Snake, Rattle, and Roll, so I wanted 3 more NES games that Rare was involved in for Contestants Row. We have RC Pro-Am, Narc, and Battletoads. And I was a little surprised. 31% of you said to play Battletoads, remake RC Pro-Am, and erase Narc. I'm shocked more of you don't know the game Narc. I got so many people being like, what is that? You goddamn kid, millennials, sons of bitches. Look up Narc. It was a good fucking game. And if you ever watched Ninja Turtles, the original movie, it's the arcade game they're playing where they're fighting like the skeleton on like the car. Anyways, look it up. It's a good game. Let's see what a few of you had to say here, and then I'll tell you what the right answer was. Doralingus wrote in and said, play RC Pro-Am because I never have. Remake Narc because the original was badass, and if we could get a modern, more open world style, I'd buy it day one. Erase Battletoads because fuck that game and its goddamn boogie board levels. I want to yell at you for erasing Battletoads, but I understand the logic, and I'm glad that you knew Narc was badass. That warms my heart. So you'll get a pass, Dorlingus. I can live with that answer. Craig Brown wrote in. Oh, Craig Brown's going to get lit the fuck up. Craig Brown wrote in and said, I'd play Narc because I've never heard of it. Remake Battletoads because they did it with Streets of Rage, and Battletoads shits all over the original, so why not? Erase RC Pro-Am because although I've never played it, generic racing games were everywhere at that time, so nobody would notice. Every single one of you motherfuckers that wrote in and said erase RC Pro-Am because nobody would notice, double secret probation, get the fuck out of my house. That game is the best racing game on the NES. I don't give a fuck. Don't come at me with your off-road ATV 4x4 Bigfoot micro machine crap. It is fucking RC Pro-Am, and yes, people would notice, and it would be devastating. You know what people aren't going to notice? That you're not fucking around anymore, Craig, because you're on double secret probation. Get out of my fucking house. Master Vivi wrote in and said, play Battletoads. Difficulty is bigger than the ego of them. Just a gem. I agree with that. Remake RC Pro-Am, one of the most overlooked games that was just sit down and play fun. A little polish, keep the yellow car the same. If you know, you know. I fucking know. Erase Narc just because it's at the bottom of the list. I can live with that. If you're like, that's frankly why I erased the game I erased, because I was like, I just like the other 2 games better. I can get on board with that. King Daddy said play Narc because Angry Censors wanted it canceled and it looks like a good time. Remake Battletoads because of that sweet, sweet nostalgia sauce. Let's make those nostalgic feelings live up to expectations with a lot of modern TLC. Erase RC Pro-Am because racing games are boring without a twist like Road Rash had in it that you could bash skulls with chains. Listen, I'm not going to sit here, King Daddy, and deny that Road Rash is awesome, but RC Pro-Am does have a goddamn gimmick. It had a twist. You were controlling remote control cars. That was your fucking twist. You get single secret probation for shitting on RC Pro-Am. All of you disrespecting RC Pro-Am, burn my ass. Colin Burke wrote in finally and said, I will play Battletoads. Apparently I'm a bit of a masochist and I just enjoy repeated failure. I am as well, Colin. I would remake RC Pro-Am. This was my favorite NES game when I was a kid, and I really love racing games still to this day. I just recently found your podcast and listened to the episode about RC Pro-Am, and I heard you talk about the yellow car going apeshit. This was caused by using too many missiles and bombs, so it could be avoided. Not sure if this has already been covered, just thought I'd throw it out there. Narc, I've never played, haven't missed it so far, so I think I'm good. I didn't actually know that about the yellow car. The yellow car is still bullshit either way. Anyone that played RC Pro-Am fucking knows. Fucking goddamn yellow car, son of a bitch. But fair enough, Colin. I can get on board with your logic. Personally, I don't fuck. Did I fuck up and not put where my order. I think I had the runner up at 18%. Normally I have it in my notes. I fucked up and forgot to put it this week. But I'm going with the same order Jesse Clark did. Jesse said, I'll play RC Pro-Am because it's fine and fun the way it is and it's always held up. I'm going to remake Battletoads. It's fine the way it is, but the way it is stupid hard. Make it less hard. And erase Narc for one reason. Some reason I hated it as a kid, and now as an adult I don't play it because my inner child still hates it. And yes, I own it, but it'll never find its way into my NES. I don't agree necessarily with your logic, but I do agree with your order, Jesse. I personally would play RC Pro-Am because it is fucking awesome and it's still totally playable and rad today. I love that goddamn game. I would remake Battletoads. If you don't know, they made a new Battletoads game a couple years ago and it was sick, but I want more. I want Battletoads to go the way of Mega Man. Just keep pooping them out. I'll keep playing them. I love Battletoads. And I'm going to erase Narc because I like it, but I just like Battletoads and RC Pro-Am better. It's that simple. Narc just unfortunately finished third in the race, and whoever finishes third in the race is fired. So sorry, Narc. Thank you to everyone that played. Let me tell you what I've been up to over the last 7 days, and then we'll finally get into Snake, Rattle, and Roll. I've been playing Mario Strikers. Like I said, it's in very short doses. It's okay, but there's not a lot of meat on the bone. I finally have fired up Ratchet and Clank, the original one. Because it won our Patreon poll this month. Turned out it doesn't run very well on the PS3, so I went out and picked up a cheap PS2. Now it's running silky smooth, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm also playing Silent Hill 3 because that's a sponsored episode that's coming up, and it terrifies me. I haven't gotten too far into it yet, but I'm already scared. And I'm ashamed of it, but I've relapsed and gone back to Slay the Spire. And it's just, I don't play a ton of it. I don't play like I'd used to, but it's at night when I'm tired and I've smoked some pot and I just want to space out on the couch, I've gone back to playing a game or two of Slay the Spire. God damn it, I love that fucking game. You know what other game I love? Snake, Rattle, and Roll. Let's talk about it. I always give you a chance to sound off on the game that we're talking about before my guests and I hog the spotlight, and a few of you wrote in. Lord Finish said, oh my God, finally. I'm not taking any credit, but I think I suggested this game many moons ago. I loved it as a kid. It was just a blast, especially with a friend. Back in the day, it looked amazing. It was like having Commodore Amiga level cutting-edge 3D graphics on your humble NES. They got the difficulty just right. It was really difficult, but not impossible. Every death was a learning experience, and boy, did you die a lot. Now, this was our Dark Souls. Anyway, I just love this game and everything in it. It's an underrated classic, in my honest opinion. I agree with everything you just said, Lord Finish, outside of the fact that this game isn't impossible. I think it's goddamn impossible. Cornelius Talmadge wrote in and said, me and my brother had this on the Mega Drive, European release only. We'd play 2-player all the time and compete to get the high score so that the winner could use a rocket launcher or drop an Acme weight on the loser. The isometric view made the platforming parts bloody difficult, though. I agree about the platforming parts. Is that true? I only ever played the NES version. On the Sega version, you could get a fucking rocket launcher? I gotta look up the Sega version of this game. I didn't know that. Squints says, Dear Mr. Blank, my mom was poor as fuck raising my sister and I. We finally got an NES hand-me-down for Christmas one year from Santa, and I was set for life, or so I thought. Once I became an adult, I realized I was not set for life by any means. But one of the games she got for whoever it was Snake, Rattle, and Roll. I absolutely loved that game. I would lay on my stomach in front of the TV for hours playing it, which might explain why I snap, crackle, and pop every time I move these days. I feel bad. I can't wait to hear this episode. This one hits me right in the feelers, and one of these days I'm going to sponsor an episode, and you want to hunt me down and kill me, but you can't because you're all the way up north where there's less likely to be riots, and I'm all over the place. Stay rad, Blank. Thank you for calling me Blank. It feels weird when everybody calls me stuff that isn't blank, because that's how I don't know. That's what I'm used to being called. It's weird. Thanks, Squints. Fuck yeah, I love that shit. And finally, Deli16 said, this game had a special place in my heart. When I was a kid, my godfather would babysit me and he had it. I would always want to play it just because of the music. I never beat it. Hell, I couldn't tell you how far I got, but it's definitely a nostalgic one for me. Me too, Deli. The music just warms my heart. You already heard one song, and it's time to cue up another one. I'm going to trigger some Snake, Rattle, and Roll tunes. And when they stop, my younger brother Josh and I are going to look back on our childhoods and talk about Snake, Rattle, and Roll for the NES, which originally released in North America in July of 1990. Fuck, we're old. Enjoy the podcast, everybody. Let's go. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Everyone that listens to this podcast knows about our illustrious CEO, my dog Molly. But the other silent partner behind the scenes is my wife. And let me tell you, my friends, a 17-year relationship with another person that has to talk to and live with you is a lot harder to maintain than one with a dog. We've had our ups and downs, and as you all know, a relationship isn't all sunshine and rainbows. They can be a lot of work. You get out what you put in when it comes to relationships, and talking to a therapist can be a fantastic perfect way to put in some work. They can help you work through your issues, learn to communicate better, and even just provide you with an ear to bend when you need it. I've talked to my therapist about my relationships, especially when it came to my stand-up comedy career and how much I was away from home. And they helped me work on ways to keep my relationship strong even when I was out on the road. It turned out our relationship was actually better when I was out on the road, but that's a story for another day. And I know, right? Therapy. Who has the time these days? BetterHelp hears you, and they're making it easy. Fill out a quick form online, and they'll match you up with a therapist that suits your needs, and that'll work around your schedule. You pick the meet times, and you can get your therapy fix from anywhere, over video, phone, or just chat. Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit BetterHelp.com/rememberthegame today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. Okay, so joining me via the blank phone this week for the first time in 204 episodes is somebody else also on the blank phone. Arguably the most requested guest I've ever had for this show, with the possible exception of my girlfriend, who's never coming on the show because she's scared of all of you, so stop asking. And this person, I don't know if he was ever scared of you guys or not, but I finally got him on the podcast. It is my younger brother, the man who has probably spent more time with Angry Adam than anyone in the history of this planet. My younger brother, Josh. What's up, man? How's it going?
Oh, not too bad, Adam. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. It's hot as fuck here, but you know.
It is.
But considering it's cold as fuck for like 6 months of the year, I have no beef with it. I'll take hot as fuck.
Oh yeah, me too.
So now, before you and I started recording this episode, and I just wanted to clarify, everybody, I called him my younger brother, not my little brother, because he is much bigger than me. So it's younger. Yeah, much
definitely.
bigger. That was the day I stopped picking on him, was the day he got bigger than me. Then I stopped. That's true, actually. But so my brother Josh is 3 years younger than me, and just before you and I started recording, and we are going to get into Snake, Rattle, and Roll. That's why we're here. But I know for a fact that there is a giant portion of the audience that has always wanted to hear just from the horse's mouth that I'm not, like, it's not an act that I'm a spaz at video games now, but that it's something that I unfortunately grew up with. And it's unreal because you and I grew up in the same house playing video games, and you never lost your temper like I did.
Well, not when you were around, but yeah, you definitely did like 100 times more than I did.
Yeah, I never remember seeing, like, you'd get mad at a game, but I never remember watching you snap like I used to snap. So I would just like, dude, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, and I'm not trying to fucking make you tell stories that you don't have ready to tell, but can you please just affirm to the listeners out there that, like, it's not an act and that I've always been a bit of a spaz when it comes to video games?
Oh, it's not an act at all. Like, I remember as a kid, like, me getting pissed off at a game would be like getting up and shutting it off and, you know, swearing at the system. You getting mad was like throwing the controller across the room. Of course, that was the NES at the time, so it was plugged in. So half the time it would freeze when you did that. That would piss you off even more. Thankfully, our Nintendo, as a kid, you know, we were in the basement. We had concrete walls. You couldn't punch a hole in that. But.
No. And those controllers were fucking invincible. Like, the controllers today, you can't throw a PS4 controller, a PS5 controller, an Xbox controller, because they'll shatter. And those things are like $100. But like,
easily.
When you and I were kids, that NES controller, like, I remember we used to hit each other with that fucking, like, that thing is a little brick. You can't hurt that thing. That'll go through skin.
I have those controllers and that NES.
What's that?
I still have those controllers and that NES.
Yeah, that's so fucked up. I love that. You still have so many of our old games in the house, and they still work despite all of the abuse. That's fucking old gray mare. She ain't what she used to be. Games today aren't built like they fucking were when we were kids.
Well, you still got to blow in the damn thing 100 times to get it to start.
Yeah. But. Oh, dude. And you know what? Just because you just fucking said that, I guarantee you, I'm going to end up getting, somebody is going to send me a message and be like, technically you're not supposed to blow in the cartridge. It's going to make it work. And fuck off. Everybody blows in the cartridge. Shut up. Do you still have
Exactly.
Do you still have our Game Genie too?
I do, but I'm not sure if that thing still works. But
yeah. Fuck,
I haven't
dude.
used it in a long time.
Yeah, or like, do you still have the code book for it? Because otherwise, I guess you could look them all up now. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't think I actually have that code book.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad might still have that.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah, they probably do somewhere in the basement. Yeah, so like Josh and I used to play a lot of games together actually. And like we'd always half the time we'd end up fighting. But we did used to play a lot of games together. And dude, I remember that Game Genie was a fucking game changer, man. I loved that goddamn thing.
Or let you get the parts of the impossible Nintendo games.
Yeah. Oh my god, dude, do you remember, and I don't know if you're going to remember this. Do you remember Sorry, everybody. I promise we are gonna talk Snake, Rattle, and Roll soon. Do you remember fucking? I used the Game Genie once on Super Mario Brothers 3, and I gave myself a permanent frog suit, and I played through like 2/3 of the game, and it didn't matter how you. The only way you could die was if you ran out of time or you fell off the screen. Like enemies touching you wouldn't hurt you. And I was playing through the whole game with that fucking frog suit. And then there's like one temple, I don't remember what level it's in, where you have to like run and slide under something, and I couldn't slide because the frog suit
Probably
you
the
can't
ice
duck.
world somewhere, but
What's that?
it was probably the ice world somewhere.
It
but
might
I
have
actually
been.
do vaguely remember you playing through the game in the frog suit.
And it broke and I couldn't beat it. And I was so fucking mad. Fuck, it used to make me so mad. And then every time I'd get mad, Mom would fucking say I wasn't allowed to play anymore. And then you'd play. And then I'd get even more fucking mad. Fuck, I hate video games.
Yeah, but you pushed me to the side and play anyway.
Goddamn right I would. Or, dude, I remember when we would play. I don't even know if you're going to remember this because you're younger than me. But you and I used to play Super Mario Brothers together. And if anyone does it, I'm sure everyone knows, but like when you would play Super Mario Bros, the original Super Mario Bros 2 player, first player would get to go until they died, and then second player would start. And then when they died, first player would get another turn. And like I could go through 3 or 4 worlds without dying. And then when I would finally I vividly remember one time you and I doing this, and I went 3 or 4 worlds, and then I died, so that it was your turn, and then I unplugged your controller, and that fucking Goomba at the very beginning killed you, and you lost your shit, and then I got to go again, and then we both ended up getting kicked off the Nintendo. But I fucking remember it like it was yesterday. You were so mad.
I can vaguely maybe remember that, but I don't know. You did a lot of stupid shit to me when we were kids when it came to that Nintendo.
Yeah, I did a lot of stupid shit to you, period.
I did stuff to you too, though. I always shut off the TV on you whenever you're going through some of the hardest parts.
Yeah, you're such a little piece of shit. Yes, you are. And like, I remember you. I remember you and I got in a fight one time. I remember when we were playing. We got in a fight, and you legitimately like 2-foot jumped and stomped on my head, like on the ground, like, and then you just stormed off upstairs. And I was laying there like, did he just shatter my? Like he might have just fractured my skull, and you just.
Oh no! I remember doing that. Actually, that's not even vaguely. I remember stomping on your head.
Oh my
God! I got fucked up eye.
Fuck, and it might be why my eye. You little fuck. It might be why my eye's fucked up. You're right, because you jumped on my head. Anyways, all right. Well, 8 minutes later, one of the games that my brother and I used to play together when we were kids was Snake, Rattle, and Roll, and I wanted to cover this game on the show for quite a while, and I was hesitant because I was like, "Fuck, I don't know if anybody I know has played this shitty game." And it's not even that it's shitty. I don't think it's shitty. It's just stupid.
Oh yeah, it was stupid as hell.
It's stupid as fuck. But then when I was like getting ready to record this episode, I was like, fuck, you know who I know played this game? Josh, because we used to play it together. So I'll ask you first before I start going off on this game. Like, okay, first of all, do you still have it?
Yeah, I still have the original copy.
Oh, that's fucking sick. Do you? All right. So now the more important question, and there's no wrong answer here. Like, do you like? So like, there's lots of shitty NES games that people with an NES played just because that was the game they had. I always use Bart versus the Space Mutants as my example. I'm like, it's not objectively a good game, but I love that game because I played it so much as a kid. So I'll ask, like, do you like this game?
I did as a kid. Now it's just kind of a pain in the ass, but
yeah,
I mean, it was still fun.
Like,
it was dumb as hell, but it was fun.
Well, the thing about it is just like, I tried playing it on my Xbox not long ago because it's on there's a compilation on Xbox called Rare Replay where they bundle together a ton of Rare games, and this is one of their games, so it's on Xbox. And I tried playing it not long ago, and I was like, it's not without its charm. It is one of the weirdest games on the NES, and it's not without its charm, but like, it's just, if you've never played it, we'll tell you about how the game works, but the thing I should point out off the top is like, it's isometric. It's that fucking view from like a diagonal, like, it's almost like you're in the sky looking down on the game at like a 45-degree angle. Like, is that how you...
Yeah, it was Nintendo's first attempt at really trying to do 3D, and it wasn't really 3D.
Oh, God. And the thing, yeah, like the thing was like, you played it with a D-pad that was left, right, up, down. And so it just didn't feel natural to play it. And like, it was one thing when you were just moving around on the main ground, but do you remember trying to make some of the fucking jumps onto some...
Oh, yeah, after you passed the second world, everything was like all these long, skinny jumps that you had to turn in midair.
And you had to land on like the narrowest fucking... like, illegitimately, there's platforming in this game that's like tougher than Mario platforming, but you're doing it with shitty 3D/2D angle isometric controls, and both of these fucking snakes control like they're on ice all the time. And it just, and it, like, you fucking, I don't know how to, like, I should hate this game. I have ripped way better games than Snake, Rattle, and Roll, but I just have that nostalgia for it, and nostalgia is a powerful drug. Some of the jumps you had to make over, like, the spikes to land on the narrow fucking platforms, and you're in the air, and it's, like, once you jump, you can pretty well move them wherever you want until they come back down, but it is so hard to tell when you're on the platform and when you're over the spikes. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. And they always put the fucking hazards everywhere. And I remember in a few of the levels, there's these stupid little flashing blocks, and if you hit them, it reversed your control in, like, midair.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I forgot about that. You touched it fucking, yeah, it was like a reverse block, and when you touched it, the controls are already fucked. Like, the last thing this game needed to do was fuck you around with the controls, and then you picked up these things. I used to turn the controller upside down.
Well, that's exactly what it did. It reversed it. So that's what I do too.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden it would like go back, and there'd be no warning.
Oh, yeah, it was like 10 or 15 seconds or something like that, and then it would just switch back.
Oh, and there'd be like no warning, and like you said, it almost always seemed like you'd pick it up fucking in the air or trying to navigate like a really skinny fucking platform, and then you'd walk off. Whoa, I can feel the rage. Oh, fuck. You'd walk off like a platform, and then you would fall. And like you said, the first couple levels, you were over water. So at least if you fell off the platform, you just landed on the water, and you just coast across the surface of the water.
Yeah, you could just jump back off as long as the stupid shark didn't get you where they ripped off Jaws like hardcore.
Oh, fuck. We'll get into that, too. Because actually, my favorite thing about this game is the stupid enemies. And we'll get into that. But, like, once you get past those water levels, then you're over these fucking spikes. And every time you fall, and there is no mercy. There's no, you know how, like, some video games, when you get up to the edge of a platform, there's an animation in it where you kind of, like, wobble like you're losing your balance on your toe or something.
Oh, yeah, not at all on this one.
No. And because of the weird ass fucking 45-degree sky god view isometric crap camera, it's not even like Super Mario Brothers where at least it's a side scroller and you can see exactly how close you are to the edge. You're playing Snake, Rattle, and Roll, and you're like, I have no fucking idea how close I am to the edge. And some of the jumps you have to make in this game, you've got to be right at the edge to make the jump, but you can't tell when you're too close to the edge, and then you fall, and when you fall, it's not like a half a second death and you just keep going. It does that fucking...
Oh, it's gonna bring up the stupid scream that you had to hear all the time.
And it says like, and you just have to watch it, and then you fucking watch it and watch it and watch it, and then it and then like with no warning, it just drops your snake in right where you fell, right on the edge of the cliff,
on the last spot of land that you were. So if you're right on the fucking edge, you're right on the edge again. If you touch anything, you fall again.
Yeah. So if you fell and you're like, oh, for fuck's sakes, and you didn't take your hand off the D-pad or whatever, and then it spawns, and then you fucking, and it just, I can feel like the Hulk coming out. It just is so fucking infuriating. And we haven't even gotten into like, so if you've never played this game, other than trying to make impossible jumps, the object of the game is you control these. Like, I actually think the concept of the game is like somewhat creative and clever.
That was unique.
You control these two snakes and they're Rattle and Roll, and one's red and one's blue. And basically all you do is you have to go from level to level. And you get to
Eating balls.
Eating balls. Someone's going to fucking take that quote, I'm sure. But that's what you do. They're called nibbly pibblies. And what you do is you make your way from the beginning of the level to the end of the level, avoiding enemies and not falling up and all this shit. But what you do is like these random little balls, these little nibbly pibblies, whatever. These little balls will pop up.
Yeah, some would come out of the sewer, some would come out of machines.
Yeah, and they just come out of all kinds of different places, and you have to eat them. And as you eat them, you gain body parts. Like your body gets. You actually start out very creepy. You're just like a weird looking. It almost looks like a
head with like a ball.
Yeah, a snake with one testicle off of his head. Like it. And then as you eat the balls, your body grows. And then when you get to the end of the level, there's like a weight scale, and it looks like one of the carnival games where you have to ring the bell.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have to be heavy enough to stand on it to ring the bell, and then the exit to the level opens, and then you have to get to the door and get out. But if you're not,
every enemy you hit, you lose a piece of tail.
Yeah, every time you take any damage, you lose a piece of tail, but you lose part of your body, and then you got to go eat more fucking balls to grow a big enough tail to be heavy enough to trigger this bell to get out the door. And what is really, I think, is really dope, if I remember correctly, because I haven't played it 2-player since you and I were kids. When you play alone, you're only one body, so you have to be big enough to ring the bell. But I'm pretty sure when you play 2-player, it combines your two bodies.
Yeah, exactly. So if you needed like 5 body parts and, player 1 had 3, I had 2, it would work. But then if either player took a hit, you both had to run back and get more balls.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like at least if you played 2-player, you could together be like, okay, together we're heavy enough. Let's go ring the bell and then get the fuck out of here. You mentioned like these little ball things come from everywhere, and I actually think one of the coolest. So there's red balls, there's blue balls, and there's yellow balls. And one of the snakes is red. Like I think it's player 1 is red and player 2 is blue.
Yeah.
And if you eat your own color ball, you get more bulk out of it than if you eat the other guy's ball. And then yellow is neutral, and it works for both.
And it was the best one too.
Yeah, the yellow one was the one you'd always go after. And so like you could be competitive with each other, because at the end of the game, or at the end of each level, it did this really cool like score screen where you're floating through like outer space, and it would show you how many of each color ball each of the 2 players ate, and then you'd get scores and stuff like that. But what I thought was really neat was how in every level the little balls changed just a little bit. Like,
oh yeah, I know like every level off by heart now of that game, exactly what they all do.
Okay, so then I don't. I remember that like one of them they had feet, but like, do you remember what other ones is there? Like, what do the balls do? I don't remember.
I remember in the first world they just rolled. In the second world they were on like springs and bounced everywhere. And the third world is the one they had feet. The fourth world they like jumped through the air, and when they hit the ground they turn into puddles, and you could not eat them when they were puddles, which made it a complete con.
Oh, right, yeah, they'd like flatten, and then you'd have to wait for them to like form back into a ball so you could eat them
and
again.
You only get like a half a millisecond to eat it before it's out of your range again.
Right, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, and then like remember the fifth world, they could fly, which was a bastard, and they had wings. 6 and 7 never had balls, which they're kind of weird levels in their own, and then the eighth level they were fish.
Wait, so what were they in level 5 and 6 or whatever? Like, how did you gain weight in those ones? I don't remember.
In those 2 levels, in 6 and 7, there was no weight. The door was always open. That's what the bell did. When you rang the bell, it opened the door so you could leave. The whole goal was just to get through the level, but the whole level was pretty much filled with one-shot kills, like spikes that come out of the ground as you're landing.
Right.
These giant balls that just fell like Indiana Jones style, and they squished you in one hit.
Right. I remember, yeah, that's right, because I remember I could get to the water level where they were fish once in a great while, but that's as far as I could ever get. And for all of you, oh, motherfuck. All of you that are listening to this.
Fucking harder after that.
Yeah, you all know how much I hate swimming to begin with. Add fucking goddamned isometric fucked up weird ass control. Oh, fuck. Fuck that. Fuck that.
You just swam around and mashed the living shit out of the button that flicked out your tongue and just hope like hell you got them.
Yeah, because there was like depth, and it was so hard to tell When like it was easy when they were rolling or even when they were running or when they would go flat to the earth and then spring back up. At least for the most part, it was easy to tell when you could eat them. But when you were trying to like line your body up with them to eat them with the tongue, oh, fuck me. Almost.
Yeah, because you could only eat them if they were like 90 degrees aligned with your body in the isometric view.
Yeah, it was so fucking difficult. But I did like how if you ate them and they had any kind of like body part, like feet or wings or springs, you would eat them and it'd be like, it would make the like, and then you would spit out what was left. I always thought that was so clever. Like they would just go like, and like spit out like two little teeth, like chicken wing, like bones or something.
Yeah, exactly, like the chewy piece or their feet or whatever it was.
I always thought that was really clever. And then I liked how one of the power, like to me, the best power up in the game was you could get these tongue extenders because you would start out with this like little nub of a tongue. But if you got all these tongue extenders, fucking dude, your tongue would go like 3 inches across the screen and you just turn into like a total sniper. I love that shit.
100%. I remember too, like with that game, falling too, like you were mentioning all the little spikes too, and like I don't really know what the heights would be, so it said like a single unit, your guy, like your snake could jump up one unit. If you fell more than 2, you died.
Yeah, fuck, that's right. That was such crap too. Yeah, that you were just like fucking random fall. Fuck off. This game just kills you. Like this game's designed like it's a fucking arcade game designed to eat your quarters. Everything in this fucking game kills you.
100% it was. There was time limits were 99 seconds to get through the level.
Yeah. Oh, dude. And like, and do you remember? So like you'd find the little balls you had to eat, but sometimes they would be bombs, but you wouldn't be able to tell until after a couple of seconds. And then you'd realize like, oh, fuck, that's a bomb. And if you were near the bomb when it went off, it would damage you and take away more of your body. And so you're on this fucking stupid timer and you need to get big enough to trigger the scale to get out. But everything in the goddamn level hurts you. And I remember, like playing it as kids and being like, okay, combined, we're heavy enough to open this fucking bell. But then on our way to the bell, one of us would get hit by a blowing up dot or something, and then we'd have to go back into the level to get more dots to get big enough to trigger the bell, and then someone else would get fucking hurt, and then that stupid timer would start triggering, and then you're waiting by the machine that spits the balls out to eat balls to get big enough to trigger the bell, and then it just keeps spitting out fucking bombs.
That's all it would fucking do. Bombs, bombs, and bombs. And they never put them near the end of the level. So when you got hit by the second last bad guy, you had to run back 20 seconds.
Oh god, yeah, you were fucked. If you got to the end of the level and you didn't have much time left and you took damage, you were fucked. You were done. There's no way you were getting back. And
you couldn't overeat. Like you could keep eating, but you would never gain any more like girth to your snake. So you couldn't try to have like extra segments to buy extra hits.
Yeah, and you couldn't like save dots. Like you couldn't, like if they spit out a bunch of good dots, you couldn't just leave them all on the stage and walk away because they would get away. And
as soon as they were off the screen, they're gone.
Yeah, because you'd go into like the bonus levels where it would start spitting out dots, and those things would fucking fly around. Because that was something else about this game. I still want to get into the enemies because there's some fucked up enemies, but this game has like tons of secrets, like secret levels, and some of them were easy to find, and some of them were tough to find. And in the first couple levels, they were just something to do, but in the later levels, they were a godsend because it was hard to find the dots you needed. And so you'd go into one of those bonus levels, and usually it would spit out like red, blue, yellow, like 4 or 5 dots, and they'd be going super fast.
Exactly.
And it'd
and
be
the
like
yellow ball moves like the speed of light.
Oh, it's fucking just like the yellow truck at RC Pro-Am that we've ranted about before. And like they would go so fast, and you'd have to get as much out of them as you could, and then it would take you back to the main world where something would fucking hurt you again. Oh, fuck me. So okay, we should talk about the enemies. The
enemies, like they were on drugs when they designed the enemies of this game.
Dude,
or the
what
guy
the
like
fuck?
had some really weird fetishes or something.
The normalest enemy in this game is the bomb ball that you have to eat. There is, off the top of my head, there's a giant foot that just stumbles around that just tries to land on you, and killing it is satisfying.
In the first couple levels, if you kill the giant foot, you got a 1-up. And then, of course, after like the 5th level, every time you kill the giant foot, it dropped the 1-up that turned into a bomb ball.
What a trolling sack of shit. There was the toilet seat that just ran around in circles trying to eat you. Like
the toilet seat was really weird as well.
Yeah, that's all it would do. It would just spin around in circles and fucking try to eat you. Those are the Jaws thing. I hate so.
Oh, it even had the Jaws music that as you got closer to you.
Yeah, it was such a load of crap. Like you'd fall in the water, and again, you don't like. in the early levels you wouldn't swim. You would just skim the surface of the water. In the later
Just
levels
the
you
first two
go
levels, yeah.
in the later levels you'd end up in the water, and then Jaws would leave you alone. But in those first couple levels, yeah, you'd end up down on the water, and as soon as you landed in the water, yeah, Josh is right. Like in a blatant fucking I don't want to criticize somebody for stealing music from something else, because I may or may not use games music in every episode I do. But like the fucking Jaws music would be like da 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 da, and then this fucking it looked like
It was just like its eyes and its jaws sticking out of the water. You didn't see anything else.
yeah, it was like a bear trap, like a circle with like the claws on it.
Exactly.
And it would just scrim across the water. And if it got underneath you, it'd be like, whomp. And then you'd shoot up in the air and lose one of your fucking body balls and have to go hiking back.
But you could use that in the first couple worlds to get some of the secrets.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Because, like, you can only
There's
jump
like
so
a
high.
one-up and like a clock, I think, in the first world you can get.
Yeah. And that's what you would
And I
do
think
is...
the second world was just another one-up or something.
Yeah, you'd let Jaws... Oh! Yeah, okay. So you would let Jaws bite you, and he would spring you up in the air, and then you'd fucking get up there, and then you could, get the items and stuff. Do you remember...
But of course, the item is surrounded by spikes.
Of course
So,
it is. And it's impossible
you
to
hear
fucking land on.
the,
And then do you remember, I think it's level 2. I can't remember though. There's a level where there's like running water, and you have to like, it's like waterfalls and then water like rolling to the end of the level and
There's
off
a
of a
few
cliff.
of them, but level 2 had them, yeah.
And you had to like jump
And
from
the current was
platform.
ridiculous.
Yeah, you had to jump from like platform to platform to platform without falling into the water, because if you did, that current was so fast, it would just sweep you off the end of the level and you would die. But doing these tight jumps was so fucking challenging, and you had to ring the bell first, then get up there, then climb across all these platforms on this stupid waterfall, then drop down to the door full of spikes. And it was like level 2. And you'd end up, and every fucking time you'd end up falling into the stupid current water and get swept off the side. Whoa, motherfucker, man.
Well, like, I find that game's difficulty was funny because like level 1 was easy, 2 was like average, 3 started to get hard, and then it got ridiculous after that.
Yeah, by level 4 or 5 you're fucked. It's impossible. Oh my god, it fucking used to make me so goddamn mad. Fucking game. Like, but the thing is, like, I'm thinking about it now, I don't know what other choice you would have if you wanted to make that. Like, I know the isometric weird 45-degree 3D shit fucking controls or the camera, everything. I don't know what other way you could have made it. It's almost like, it's like Hubert. Like, if you've ever played Hubert, I know you have because we had it as a kid.
I fucking hated Hubert.
Yeah, well, because it handles really weird. But I don't know how else you could make it. And with Snake, Rattle, and Roll, you couldn't really make it like traditional up, down, left, right. I don't know if it would work. Like it kind of needs those weird controls. To me, it just plays more like an arcade game that you'd play with a joystick than something you try to play with an
It
NES.
does seem like one you would play more with a joystick. We used to have a joystick for like airplane games for the NES, and I've tried it with that, and it actually did make it a bit easier.
Yeah, I would think it is. Like I adore the NES controller. Like it's so simple. It's kind of beautiful, and it's like in its simplicity, but it's just really difficult to do 45-degree weird angles with that fucking up, down, left, right D-pad. Like it just doesn't quite control well enough for that shit. So I don't know. I don't know what else they could have. I don't know. Like this game is so weird because if I played this game for the first time today, I can't decide if I would love it because it's such an odd game, or if I would just completely rage out and be like, this is broken and it doesn't fucking work. I don't know.
You would enjoy it for the first level because it's like Nintendo pats your head, and then the second level they kind of just push you out of the nest, and like I said, by the third, fourth level,
yeah, you're right.
That's
Yeah.
Nintendo's attitude.
It like that. Even this, like I would go as far as to say the end of the second level where you're trying to climb that waterfall to get out. That's when the game starts to be like, oh, I hope you had fun, because now we're gonna fuck you up. Like they took it
pretty
easy.
much. That was the announcement of that. Like I
Yeah.
don't know if you noticed too, they did that isometric view because you're actually climbing a mountain. And if you actually look in the game, when you're playing level 1, if you look up above level 1, you can see level 4. And then when you're in level 2, level 3 is above you, and then you can see down likewise, and you can keep seeing upwards the mountain as you're climbing.
I never thought of that. Oh my God. And that's
And
why
then once you pass level 8, everything's ice world because you're at the top of the mountain.
level 1 you can't fall because you're at the bottom of the mountain. There's just water there.
Exactly. Same with 2, because like 1 would be on one side of the mountain, 2 would be on the other.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
You go up
And
to
then at
3,
the end
and
of
then cross
2,
over to 4.
yeah, at the end of level 2, you've climbed up the waterfall a bit, so now you're off the ground. Holy fuck. That just blew my mind. I never thought of that. Holy shit. Wow, you're a fucking nerd. How did you fucking figure that out?
I did back when I was a kid.
Fuck you, you did. You piece of shit.
Well, I did because I was using the Game Genie where you get this a super jump button, and it allow you to launch right up, and you could like get out of level 1 right to level 4, but then the game would like glitch all to hell.
I do remember seeing the like future the further in levels above the early levels, but frankly I always just thought it was like a glitch in like the game. I never put together that like, oh no, you're climbing up. Well then like well no, never mind. I was gonna say, well
I think
then
it was
what?
like 10 to 15 years ago, I saw somebody took pictures of all the levels and then put them all together in a giant image, and it showed quite clearly the mountain.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say, well then like fuck, if you fall off like level 4, why can't you just drop me back into level 1? But to be honest, I think I would rather.
That would make the game fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I would have been even madder.
Oh, you slipped in level 8, go right back to the beginning.
Yeah, that you're right. That probably would have just pissed me off even more. I'd be remiss too if I didn't talk about. I will say like this game controls weird, and that weird isometric camera doesn't really do you any favors as far as gameplay. But like for an NES game, I actually think this is a pretty good looking video game. Like I'm not a graphics snob, and it's weird. Like this game almost plays like a dream with all the weird random shit that they throw into it, like the foot.
Oh
and the
yeah,
toilet
like
seat and
bouncing
everything.
mushrooms and shit too. I remember was one of the bad guys.
Yeah. Or like the teeth, like the chattering, like the wind-up teeth that would fucking run around and bite you. But at the same time, like let's call a spade a spade. Like you and I have both played a lot of NES, and I love the NES. There are some ugly fucking games on the NES.
Oh, 100%.
This is a pretty good looking video game. Like it's really bright and colorful. It's easy to look at. I like it.
And I gotta say, like most of the NES games, even though they only had like the 8-bit, 16-bit shit to it, they had a pretty decent amount of like, I guess, uplifting music to it. Like gets you into the game.
I think this game is one of the better soundtracks on the
100%.
NES. Like I can still hear the music from like the first level, or like the title song. Like I'll have already played them in this podcast. By the time Josh and I haven't listened to it yet because I put the music in right at the end. But if you're listening to this episode, then you've heard the music. It's frankly, I think the music kind of like everything about this game sets it up to be like it should be easy. Like it looks like a children's game. It sounds like a children's game. The cover features these two like. They're not scary looking snakes. They're like bright, colorful, happy. Like they look like fucking Fisher-Price snakes with like, there's a giant foot behind them. Like everything looks so nice and tra-la-la-la-la on the cover. And then you fire it up and it looks like playing a Saturday morning cartoon. And then it just fucking annihilates you. It's bullshit.
That's actually a great way to put it.
Yeah. But like when you look at like, I'm just, I mean, it's apples to oranges, but like think about NES games like Ghostbusters, like even Contra.
Hell yeah.
Listen, I love the Contra games, but like this game looks substantially better than the Contra games. Like this is a good looking NES game.
Yeah, it's quite clear. It's not very pixelated, actually.
Not at all. No, it's really bright and colorful. It just fucking, it's just impossibly
like honestly,
difficult.
It almost looks like it belonged on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like a lot of maybe not so much like, it's funny because actually the characters that look the worst in this game are Rattle and Roll, the two snakes. But like the backgrounds and the enemies and stuff, yeah, you could convince me that this was a very early Super Nintendo game.
100%, yeah.
Over being an NES game. And like you said, oh my God, the music is so good. I love the music in this game. Now, I wanted to ask you but when we were talking off air before we got started, you said you've gotten to the final boss.
Yeah, I've beaten it with the cheat codes, but without cheat codes, I have once made it to the boss.
I've never gotten through like the swimming spots.
It's really, really fucking disappointing, in my opinion, because you get to the swimming level, then you got to go through an even more ridiculous ice level where the balls are little helicopters, which are almost impossible to get. and like you slide like 300 times worse. But then once you get to the boss, you just play on like this one little, not a little square, but a square that takes up your screen, and it's just a giant foot that doesn't freeze when you hit him, and he bounces in the same like 4 spots, and all you have to do is time out and chase him.
That's the wait. So the final boss is just a giant foot?
It's the giant foot that you've already fought in every other level.
Wow.
Unless there was something else that I missed after that, but I mean, I beat him after a while, and getting to him way harder. And then you get there, and it was disappointing a little bit.
What a load of crap! Are you kidding? That's the final boss? Is just a fucking foot?
It's the same stupid enemy that you've fought in every other level, pretty much.
Get out of
He
here!
one hit kills you. That's about it.
Snake, rattle, and roll. Final boss. Oh my god! It's just that fucking foot. What a load of balls! Get the fuck out of here. That's garbage. Fuck this. That just cost this game points. What a load of crap. All it is
Like
is
I said, that was a while back when I got to him, but I remember fighting him, and like I kept thinking, like, okay, I'm going to beat this guy, and then, you know, some face is going to appear in the background that's going to get hard as hell or something. Well,
yeah.
No, getting to him that last level on pure ice was like almost impossible.
Oh god, I
The
can't
first time
imagine.
I did it, it was on my computer, and I used save states the very first time to try to learn the level a bit, and then I just tried to go straight through it.
I can't imagine playing this game on ice. Oh my god, I'm just looking at images of this game. I forgot. Yeah, like some of these later levels. Oh, fuck.
I remember. I pretty much almost have the whole damn game memorized. I'm horrible for that. There's a few games for NES that are like that.
I'm looking at images now, and I forgot there's like a couple levels where you're basically just going like across a really narrow platform, but it's like platform, water, platform, water, platform, water, platform, water, like a really narrow ledge, pardon me, not like a platform.
Oh, that's the pink level. You're at level 7, I think.
And the water
pink,
is
yellow, orange.
And the water is the current, and so if you fall off your platform, it's and then when you get you have to like you get to the end of the ledge, turn around, like do a Yui, and then come back on the other way. And if you fall, you're back down on the first one and to do it all over again. What a tease of a.
And when you're on those spots, is that the height is too high for you to jump up, so you actually have to go in the current and keep tapping the button to fight the current until like a spray of water comes out and shoots you up in the air.
And for those of you that haven't played it, like this is the same company that makes Battletoads. This is the same company that makes fucking RC Pro-Am, which is a great game. Also uses that weird camera angle and also cheats and just fucks you up all the time. Rare, like
100% RC does.
Once Rare got to the Super Nintendo and started making Donkey Kong Country, then they started playing nice. But their NES games are fucking vicious. I just realized that. Like, I love RC Pro-Am, Snake, Rattle, and Roll, and Battletoads. But all three of those games are just obnoxiously difficult. I've never beaten any of those games, actually. Fucking
I don't think RC Pro-Am actually ever ends.
No, it probably just loops. But I've never gotten through every race in it. So, that's what I would consider beating it. Fucking brutal.
But, like, at least, you know, Snake, Rattle, and Roll, it did have an end. It was kind of a disappointing end.
What a joke.
But
just the stupid foot. Pound sand. Yeah, other than that, though, I don't know. Like, I just really, like I say, I don't know if I'd like it now, but I'll always be nostalgic for this game because I spent so much time playing it as a kid. Like, I can still hear the music in my mind. Frankly, like, I feel like this could have been a bigger franchise. I don't know. Like,
I think they could have made more of it. Easily they could have. It was such a simple game design.
Like, I'm looking right now, and there is a Sega Genesis version, which actually looks fucking sick. Like graphics-wise, looks awesome.
Did not know about that one.
Yeah, it looks awesome. There's like a Game Boy spin-off, too, that looks like crap. But it's just, like, Battletoads caught on for a little while and then died. And RC Pro-Am, I guess they had RC Pro-Am 2, and then it kind of died. But, like, just... You look at this game and you're like, it's got like Snake, Rattle, and Roll is a great name for a video game. And they're cute little characters and they stand out. Like, they'd be totally marketable. Like, I could see these guys having like a cartoon show. Like, I'm surprised they didn't do more with it. Maybe it didn't sell well. I don't know. Like, it reviewed well. Like, I'm reading their Wikipedia page right now and it's got like 80s and 90s scores. IGN ranked it number 32 in their top 100 NES games list.
You know, though, thinking as kids, I don't think any of our friends actually own that game.
No.
We didn't even own it as kids, I think, actually. I thought we rented it for a long time, and then we finally found it.
Yeah, I know we used to rent it a lot, yeah. I just, and yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe the problem with that, it's just the NES had so much. Let's call a spade a spade. There's a lot of crap on the NES. Like, I love the NES, but there is a lot of crap on the NES. And I think sometimes the good games that weren't big names, frankly, like, this is one of those games that is better than some of the games that sold way better than it, because the other games had, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit or Back to the Future or Dick Tracy or Ghostbusters or Jaws, or like they had a big name on the cover, so they sold better.
That's
and then
true, yeah. And this one was just some random guy probably did drugs one night and came up with this game.
Yeah, it looks like something you came up with in 2 days, but like I would argue it's better than some of those other games. I know that I'm going to take shit for that because I know there's a small but vocal minority in our community that loves fucking Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Dick Tracy. I know you like those games too. I fucking hate those games.
I actually have both of those games.
They fucking suck. Like, I hate Ghostbusters. Suck. I love it, but I fucking hate it.
They're fun, but they suck.
Snake, Rattle, and Roll was a good fucking game, man. I love this stupid game. If you've never played it, I think the only place it's available these days, unless you're emulating it, which I'm not going to tell you not to do. I don't care what you do. But it is on the Rare Replay collection on Xbox. So I wouldn't recommend buying Rare Replay just for this game. But if you already have Rare Replay, or if you have Game Pass, Rare Replay is included with it. It's a good collection, and this game's worth just trying it once or twice just to see. Because I truly feel like this is one of the hidden gems on the NES.
It is. It's one of those games that'll drive you fucking nuts after a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, it'll drive you fucking crazy, and you'll never beat it. But it is a charming little game. Like, so Rare made RC Pro-Am in 1987, and then they made this in 1990. I think RC Pro-Am is the better game, but I don't think this is too far behind RC Pro-Am as far as quality goes. Personally,
no, I could agree to that. RC was a fun game. But
yeah, I think RC is the better game, but either way,
it had more to it. Just like you said, Snake, Rattle, and Roll is. The advantage you had with it is that it was all the secrets in that game. At least there was lots to do.
Yeah, there was lots to find and stuff. Yeah.
I don't know about other people, but I used to always in level 1 because I knew where all the extra time piece things were, and I would wait till like the last second to grab it so I could go back and eat more, and I would get 400 times the points I get in that level.
Oh yeah, and then you'd like stock up on lives with all the points and need them for the later levels because the later levels are gonna.
Oh yeah, they're gone by level 4. You've already burned them all off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you needed them to get to level 4. Yeah.
And then, like you said, after you hit like level 4 or level 5, there's no more 1-up. There's no more extra continues. They all turn into fucking bombs.
I'm so mad about that boss. All right. Is there anything we forgot before we score this thing and wrap it up? Is there anything that I forgot about this game that you're thinking of that you're like, oh, we should bring that up? I think we've covered pretty well everything.
No, not that I could think of. I mean, if you ever want to see a cool image, try to find that one where they combined all the levels to show the mountains.
I just saw it. Yeah, that is pretty sick. I can't believe I never fucking realized that until now. That looks fucking sick. Yeah, that'd make a cool poster. All the levels on top of each other like that.
Like even the water interlinks through it all. It's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, that's fucking incredible. I can't believe I never thought of that. Oh, man, I'm dumb.
I feel like they just made that a huge map and then realized that it was going to be impossible and cut it into like levels.
Yeah, well, if you split into levels and you eliminate, then like that's your load screens, right? It's a way to load screens up. All right, well, we got to score this thing. It says there's 11 levels. So, I don't know. Let's try that. Let's score it out of 11. That seems fair. If you were scoring Snake, Rattle, and Roll out of 11, what would you give it?
Out of 11, I'd probably give it like a 7 or 8 for the fun level, but it's going to have to lose a couple of points because it will drive you mentally insane if you actually want to try to get more than past like level 4.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I'll give it. If I didn't have nostalgia for this game, it'd be a 6 out of 11 at best. But I just have.
Yeah, it got some points for nostalgia.
Yeah, it's got that childhood charm, so I'll give it a 7. I like it. It's just So I'll ask you this before we close then. I always go to Bart versus the Space Mutants as my example of a crappy NES game that I love too much to not like. Even like I can look past 90% of its flaws just because I grew up with it and I love it anyways. Like it's obviously not a good game, but I still have a soft spot.
No, that game was hard as hell. I think I've only ever got to like level 4.
Well, there you go. Then there's my flex. I can beat fucking Bart versus the Space Mutants. So there you go. Did you think this game is better or worse than Bart versus the Space Mutants?
I think the play of it would be a little bit better. But, I mean, the other one's got old school Simpsons, which can top almost anything.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the Simpsons, this would be a better game than Bart versus the Space Mutants. So, all right. Well, that's fuck yeah. All right. Well, good. I'm glad we finally covered fucking Snake, Rattle, and Roll on this show. And we finally got the younger Blank on the show. So all of you that have been asking now, he does exist. He is fucking real. And he has confirmed that I am a spaz when it comes to video games. So... Josh, thanks for doing this, and maybe we'll get you on the show again down the road, and we'll talk about another. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about fucking Who Framed Roger Rabbit or one of those shitty games that I hate that I know you like. But thanks for
one of my old ones was Tubin. That was a good one.
Oh, Tubin, I fucking love Tubin's a good fucking video game though. Tubin's better than this game by a mile. Anyways,
easily.
Good stuff, man. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no worries.
And that's going to do it for this week's episode. Josh, thank you so much for giving me a call and talking Snake, Rattle, and Roll. It was a pleasure to have you on the show, and we'll do it again soon. And every single one of you geeks listening to this right now, whether this was your first Remember the Game or your 204th Remember the Game, thank you so much for listening, and thank you for making us the #1 video game podcast in Canada and the Bahamas for some fucking reason. We're #1 in the Bahamas now. There must be one person down there listening to this. So if that's you, thank you so much for putting us to the top of the charts. I appreciate it. If you're thinking, man, this actually was not the worst podcast I've ever heard. First of all, you need to listen to more podcasts. But second of all, leave us a nice review on whatever podcast service you're using. I'm not sure exactly what reviews do, but I know the good podcasts ask for them, so I'm going to ask for one as well. And if you're thinking, I would love to hear more of this guy's sultry, somewhat prepubescent voice, maybe consider supporting us on Patreon. Membership start at just $2 a month, and you get 2 additional podcasts every week, plus instant access to over 200 archived episodes you can download right onto your phone. Plus, you can join our Discord. You can write into the show. You'll get a shout out, all kinds of value. Patreon.com/rememberthegame. Just if you're hearing this in the last couple days of June or in any month, wait until the 1st of the following month, because you get charged the day you sign up. You get charged on the 1st of the month. So don't sign up on the 30th, because you'll get hit again 24 hours later. And I don't want to rip you off, so only sign up once, okay? Don't forget our 20% off merchandise sale is still running until July 1st. You can go to rememberthegamepodcast.com to check that out. And I am on Twitch whenever I can get on there. Twitch.tv/rememberthegame if you want to swing by and say hi. That's going to do it for this week's episode. I'm going to shout out some Patreons and get the hell out of here. I'll be back tomorrow for all of our Patreons with Expansion Pass number 117, where I break down the games I refuse to play. It'll be Game Patch 96.0 on Friday, and I'll be back next week with a whole nother juicy slab of podcast, because this is all I do with my life now. Take it easy, everybody. I'll talk to you again later. Cheers. Goodbye. Remember the Game is brought to you by our Patreons. I could not puke up all the content I turn out every week without all of your support. The following people are subscribed at the senior executive vice president level or higher over at patreon.com/rememberthegame, and I'd like to take a moment to thank them all personally and fuck up a bunch of their names. So a massive thank you to Makeshift Mallow, Magic Money, Manure the First, Joe Buck, Sharonic, Andre, Keegs and his Stupid Arrow Handle, James Clark, Dave McGee, DNA Gaming, Slick Rick, Doug Dorn, Charlie Medeiros, Andrew Wright, Jordan, The Good Enough Gamer on YouTube, Fraser Burns, Lil Bunny Fufu 89, Angry Ticks, Dave Thompson, No One Cares, Brandon O'Brien, Aaron Lawson, Matt McLean, Nathan Tremblay, A-Town, Morgan, Zane Donovan, Ryan Kinchin, Mike Maloney, G9PSX, Raging Demon, Wolfgang Darren, Sam Wright, Andy Hudson, Chris Copland, Doogie, Wolf Magic 21, Johnny CCDC, Joe LeBlanc, Squints, Titan 420, Zonko 504, Russell Aldridge, Jeff Bergeron, Captain N, Game Nomad Misi, Daniel, Tunable Power, John Woodruff, Just a Fish, Snoop Q, Super Dad Bros Podcast, Denzalo, Holmes, Zach Shepard, Chris Dickin, Untakar, Matthew D'Amico, Frosty Feet 492, Triple 3, Austin Cook, Elijah Burns, Stephen Parnell, Ray Sam Wantongo, Zach Coiner, DBXJ, Jameer Williams, Steve Dalk, Phil McCracken, Trav H, Mizuru, Nicholas Chaffee, David Marcus, Phil Lencher, Ruben Elizald, Eric James, Riley Turvey, Jake Carter, Mexican Johnny, C-Spin, Thomas Smith, Nicola, Munch Makuchi, Leroy Westrich, Dark Squall, Jerry the 3D Printed Saustrich, Evolva, Sean Ramos, Boston Porksword, DB Cooper, Stud Still Smash, Mojo the Helper Monkey, Solid Rake, Brant Hewitt, Gabe, Dan Fusselman, Aaron Mitson, Decoy Man, John Jameson, Wyatt the Surgeon, who's not actually a surgeon, Rowe, Tyler Nightmare, Blaine the Hoagie Man, Terry Douglas, Benjamin Swiller, Pet My Peeve Podcast, Tristan Teen the Great, Hagel Waffle, Esteban Navarro, Kach, Jimothy, Joe Stone, Chris Williams, Nicole Novak, Cody Richardson, General Fury, Salty by Design, Jason Workman, Dem Boys on the Roof, Oh What the Fuck, LOL, Max Lagroom, James Juan Francesco, The Jamadian Nightmare, Matt Hamilton, Nomad, James Black, Sam Carpenter, Nerdy Hybrid, Tug Jones, Adam Fletcher, Colin Bollinger, Justified 01, Lucas Charleston, Joey Mercury, You Look My Butt, IR Jackal, Thirand, Isaias, Tech Mage 299, Timmy the Exuberant Turtle, Lance Jones, Brian Neese, Christian Gabriel, Radioactive Man, Big Poppy Logan, Phoenix 783, Vega Versio, Tally 311, and Michael Barjudenet. Fuck, Michael, I can't say your goddamn last name. I was doing so good. Michael B. Damn it. Thank you all so much for the support. You're the best. Talk to you next week. Purple Monkey Dishwasher.